Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group, and we've got a great webinar for you today about, how to transition your special needs loved one from, that high school to adulthood kind of time period. I want to thank Nicole Crowder for being here with us today. She is with the Parent Resource Center at Conroe ISD. Nicole, do you want to tell us a little bit about your upcoming events and what you guys do?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here today, Michelle. We appreciate being able to collaborate with the Consolidated Planning Group. Again, my name is Nicole Crowder. I am the Special Education Parent Liaison for Conroe ISD. I'm here with my bilingual parent liaison, Ms. Aurora Vasquez. And I want everybody to understand something that's super important. We're going to have our annual 2026 Transition and Resource Fair. We have over 60 vendors that will be attending, and we provide all of the local agencies or organizations in our community to our families. So if you are available, please try to attend. It's going to be on March 5th at College Park High School at 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. It is an in and out event. We will have a Social Security office there as well. So if you'd like to apply, get more information, please try your best to attend. You can always reach us at Parent Resource Center at conroeisd.net. We provide resources on guardianship, Medicaid waiver programs. We have webinars as well as parent trainings in person, and we have something called Snack and Chats that's available for our campuses. So for any more information, you can feel free to click the link in the chat to visit our newsletter and get all the information from the Parent Resource Center.
Thank you so much, Nicole. A couple of things before I get started. I just want to let everybody know that yes, we do record all of our webinars, and after the live presentation, we put them onto our YouTube channel. So you will receive an email if you've registered for this webinar. If you're here, you've registered. If you're watching online, you haven't registered. If you want the slides, feel free to just email us, our office. You can email contact@cpgcares.net, or you can email me personally, mmorris@cpgcares.net, and we would go ahead and get you the slides for this. But like I said, if you've registered, you're here right now, you're going to get that in your email later on today. The other thing is that because we're in webinar mode, I cannot see you or hear you. So if you have any questions, the easiest way for me to be able to see and answer your questions and do the webinar is to put them in the chat box, and I will answer as many of your questions as I possibly can. We did get some questions ahead of time. I will be getting to those too. So first things first, who is Consolidated Planning Group and why should you be listening to what we have to say anyway? Well, we are a financial planning firm that specifically focuses on helping families with a loved one who has any kind of intellectual or developmental difference. We've been doing financial planning for over 30 years. We've been, with financial services and investments, life insurance, securities, all of that stuff that any traditional financial advisor can help you with. We can do those same exact things. The main difference with us is that we understand all of the nuances of planning for a loved one who is going to need your help for the rest of their life. We don't only plan to the end of your life as a parent, we plan until the end of your loved one's life to make sure that they're going to be taken care of. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are nationally certified Social Security advisors and chartered special needs consultants. So we take this very seriously. And like I said, almost every single client of ours has a loved one with needs. So families come to us for things like thinking about how can they protect their family if the main breadwinner passes away early or becomes disabled and can't earn any more money? How can we help you protect your family? Also, how can we help you protect your loved one's resources so that they are able to still get the benefits, both state and federal benefits like Medicaid and SSI, that they should be getting? We do that lifetime care planning where we're thinking about, not just your lifetime and your retirement goals, but the lifetime of your loved one. If they're not going to be able to hold a job that's going to fully um, provide for their families, or if they're not going to be able to take care of themselves and they're going to need ongoing care for the rest of their life, you have to think about that. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit about transition planning, and we do a lot of this. There are some big transitions in life. For your loved ones, that would be, what happens when they turn 18? There's a lot of legal framework that needs to be considered when they turn 18 and benefits and things like that. What about when they leave school? There's 18 plus programs that can usually work with students to the age of 21 or 22. What happens after that? You don't want them to just graduate to the couch. That's another transition period. That time frame when maybe they're looking to move from your home into a residential community or a group home or to live with relatives or whatever the next step is going to be when you cannot take care of them anymore. That's a big transition. And then the final transition that I think about is when you as the parent are no longer here for them and they're going to have to trust and rely on somebody else instead of you. All of these things take planning and training and courage and education. So we can help you with ABLE accounts and special needs trusts and how to understand how much money your loved one is going to need, things like that. We're here to advocate for you and to educate you. Out of the entire United States of America, there are over 263,000 financial advisors. But out of those 263,000 financial advisors, fewer than 200 firms work like we do, where we understand truly the nuances of special needs planning. So it might be hard. It might be hard out there for you to find a financial advisor who truly gets that. And by being here with Consolidated Planning Group, you are truly in the right place. We represent fewer than 0.1% of all of those financial advisors who truly get special needs planning. So, how to get started overall. These are big topics, and we're going to drill into some of these today. How do you get started thinking about your loved one's future? First thing is to develop a letter of intent. If you haven't started working on that, we're going to talk to you about what that looks like and how that works and what a letter of intent even is. You should definitely work with a special needs focused financial planner for the money side of your future. And you should work with a special needs focused attorney for the legal side of things. I mean, you might have a friend or a neighbor or someone in your life who can do legal aid for you, and they say, oh, we're going to do it cheaper. Well, sometimes you end up spending more money trying to fix what was done if it's not done correctly the first time around. So we always say, do it right the first time around. It's way better off that way. Start by gathering up anything you already have in place. The first thing that we do when people work with us is we look at what do you currently have in place and how are those things working for you? Have you forgotten anything? Maybe you haven't done it yet. Maybe you didn't know about it. Maybe you just need to turn the knobs on things you already have in place. But just like working with, a GPS, it has to know where you are to get you to where you're going to go. And it has to know how to get you there, where you want to go, and we give you the best path forward. So think about what your vision of the future looks like for yourself and for your loved one and what you hope the future will hold for you. We always encourage people to plan for the worst, but stay positive and optimistic and hope for the best. And when the best happens, you just have that much more in place and ready to go. Okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty of this letter of intent. So what is it? Has anybody, I would love to hear in the chat box as I fix my computer a little bit, sorry. I would love to see in the chat box if anybody has already started their letter of intent. This is not a legal document. This is more like something that you would leave for your successor guardian, whoever is going to come along after you and help you take care of your loved ones. They should have this document to review as needed. Um, it's not easy. And this should be a living document. Like check it over once or twice a year. Make sure as your family grows and evolves, so does your letter of intent. It does not have to be registered with the court. It does not have to be notarized. It's basically, people call it a love letter to your family. Um, and it's intended for whoever comes along. So start off with like your facts. I used to be an English teacher, so helping people write documents, I love doing that. So I would start either with a template or just start with the facts in a Word document on your computer. The family information, medical history, who your child's doctors are, what benefits they already have, what things you already have in place. And then as you're writing down all of the factual information, you're going to start thinking about more fun information and things like your child's functional abilities, their interests, their hobbies. What would really cause them to have the worst day ever and throw them off the rails completely? Or vice versa, that they're having a bad day, what is going to help turn that around for them? Things like that. What legal guardians do you have for them? Do you have a special needs trust and power of attorney? And where are these documents located? But also, what are your family's traditions for holidays? And what religious values and beliefs do you want your child to be raised with? Everything can go into this letter of intent, and then you can just keep it for, your grab and go binder. If you have something like that, that's going to be there for your successor. You can put it right in there. So a lot of people worry about, okay, if my child is going to need help for the rest of their life, how are we going to fund that care? And when you look at, some of the costs of residential programs and, thinking about residential communities and things like that, it can be very, very expensive. And we're talking millions of dollars. And sometimes people just say, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford that. But we can help you set forth a plan that will help you be able to find at least a way to close that gap a little bit. First of all, make sure that they are taking advantage of the state and federal programs and that they remain eligible. You have to follow the rules and jump through the hoops to make sure that they get those benefits. You need to have a special needs trust for your loved one. And you need to think about funding that with, a decent sized amount of money. But the reason it's so important to have a special needs trust is because if you leave your child money directly, they're going to lose eligibility for those other funds from SSI, Medicaid, SSDI, all of that stuff. If, for example, you pass away and your life insurance goes to your child directly, no more benefits. Now, if your life insurance flows tax-free into your special needs trust and everything is set up correctly, then your child gets that money plus all the benefits that they deserve. So it's very important to watch out for that stuff. They could also have money saved in an ABLE account. So it's two places that your loved ones can have money saved up for them. That's the special needs trust and the ABLE account. So before we get into the differences between the special needs trust and the ABLE account, I want to talk about those benefits because it's really important that first thing on that list was maintain eligibility for these benefits. So let's talk a little bit about how they work. SSI is supplemental security income. It's not social security income, it's supplemental security income. And this is for people who are unable to work because of a disability, and that they don't have a lot of money or assets. So Generally, your child would not qualify for SSI until they turn 18, unless your family is low income. There are very low limits to the assets and income that you're allowed to have and still receive SSI payments. So, for the most part, many families will not qualify for that until the child turns 18, because at that point, they are going to only look at the parent, not the parents, only the child's assets and income. So as long as your child is not making more than $1,620 a month and they have less than $2,000 in assets, that means bank accounts, life insurance, um, retirement plans, 401ks, IRAs, things like that, then your child will be able to qualify for these benefits. So you're going to go online and apply after your child turns 18 years old. They will work on your application, and as you're working on it, just remember that the day you start the application, they will backdate to that day and pay you from when you started the application once you get approved. Now that approval can take some time. Uh, we're dealing with a government office and they can be a little bit behind in processing these benefits. Um, Another great thing to keep in mind, and this is more important for secondary benefits down the road. You need to make sure that you have evidence that demonstrates that your child's disability began before age 22. That's really important for later on when you turn on your Social Security, retirement, or disability benefits, or if parent passes away, then the child is eligible for benefits based on the parent's records. Just a little tip for you there. Okay, so back to SSI. When you're getting ready to apply, it's really not that difficult. You do not need an attorney to help you figure this out. You do not need to panic about it. You just want to gather some stuff in advance to help make the process easier on you, like your child's doctor's contact information, maybe a list of their diagnoses, their medications. And if your child is working, the Social Security Administration is going to want to see pay stubs for at least 3 months and 3 months of bank statements if your child has their own bank account. Now, we do recommend that your child does have their own bank account. It can be one with your name on it as well. That might be called a representative payee account, and that's fine. But the important thing is you want an account for your child's SSI payment to go into, and you want an account that only has their money, none of your money, because you don't want to commingle your funds. And then when the time comes that you're using money from their account, maybe you need more money from the ABLE, or you want to put money into the ABLE account or something like that, you can just use your bank transaction register um, to show the history of that bank account if you ever should happen to get audited. Okay, so when you apply for the SSI benefits, a decision can take up to a year and sometimes it's even longer. Now, you might be getting a denial letter pretty quick, and that happens often. Just be persistent. If you feel like there is no reason why your child could be denied, maybe give us a call and we can look at the letter and help you figure out where it went wrong. Don't be afraid to appeal. Sometimes we've heard that the office might just go ahead and deny people so that because most people won't take the time to come back and reapply or appeal this decision. Make sure that if you get a letter from the Social Security office, you open that immediately. There might be timelines and deadlines in that letter that you have to follow. And they don't really consider how long that letter took to get to your house when they say you have so many days to respond. So get your mail, open that letter, and figure out what you need to do next. So once your local office gets all of your application materials and they put your file together, they're going to send it over to the Disability Determination Services office for your state. Now, here in Texas, the DDS office is in Austin, and you can call them, and they're generally okay about answering the phone and getting you answers you need. They're the ones who are going to review your loved one's medical history and make sure that they qualify for the benefits. But you can call and find out, have you received everything that you need? Who is in charge of my file? Um, is there anything I need to help get for you to help you make this decision? Okay. Don't forget, put your questions in the chat box. I'm keeping an eye over there to make sure that I get those answered. So, in theory, the best practice for this really is that your child starts getting SSI, that supplemental security income payment. Right now, that payment, the maximum you can get is $967 a month. That's for 2025, and it does go up a little bit each year. And not only do you get the monetary benefit, you also get Medicaid. So you'll have Medicaid and you'll have an income of $967 a month. Now, hopefully, your child will be on that for several years before you, as the parent, turn on your own Social Security benefits. Now, you might turn on your Social Security benefits when you're in your late 60s. That would be your retirement benefit. And we can help you maximize that, by the way. You might turn that benefit on because you become disabled or because a parent passes away. Whenever that gets turned on a parent's record, the child will then switch from getting their SSI benefit to the parent's benefit. They'll switch over to this SSDI, which is sometimes also referred to as DAC, Disabled Adult Child, or CDB, Childhood Disability Benefits. There's a lot of names for this one kind of benefit. Now, after your loved one is on this benefit for 2 years, so they're going to come off of SSI, they're going to switch to this, but they will keep Medicaid. And after 2 years, they're going to get Medicare as well. So they'll have Medicaid and Medicare. They will have a higher monetary benefit that is based on your work record. And they'll be getting about half of the amount of whatever your payment is. It does not take away from what you get. When you pass away, the child's amount goes from half of your benefit to 75%. And there are family maximums. It's pretty unclear how they figure out family maximums exactly. Even the Social Security Department says it's between 150 to 188% of the adult benefit. So it's hard to figure that out, but we can help. We can help with that. So I see some questions in the chat box. Thank you, Randy. Let's get to those before we go on to the next slide. What are some examples of acceptable proof of disability? Okay, so that would be medical records, IQ tests, school records, and you can upload all of these things into the Social Security portal when you're applying for benefits. And like I said, the Disability Determination Services will request your medical records or your loved one's medical records and look at those. It's very important that it is in the medical records. Now, you can also use school records, IQ testing, IEP testing, things like that. They will take that into consideration. And how recent does this proof need to be? If your child was diagnosed at age 4 and now they're 25, they're probably going to need updated testing. Now, if it's certain diagnoses they consider to be kind of softballs, Down syndrome. If your person is quadriplegic, if they're in a wheelchair, if the IQ is below 70, things like that are pretty Those are like slam dunks. They know that they're going to be approved, but you still have to go through the process. If my wife takes, here's another question, everybody. I'll read it out before we get into more of the slides. If my wife takes Social Security at age 62 and then I start at 67, great question. And I assume that mine is higher. Will his 50% share go up to 50% of mine? Okay, so this is how it works. Whichever parent, and it can also be step parents, it can be step parents, it can be grandparents if those grandparents have adopted the child. So it can go off of any of those records. But let's say mom turns on her benefits first, you turn on the child's benefits. And then later on, as you're saying, dad turns on his benefits. Yes, your child can switch over to whichever one is highest. You can only get one, but they can go for whichever one is highest. Now, when it comes to those payments, even if you turn it on early, for example, you were asking, what if my wife turns on her benefit at age 62? The amount that your child gets will be based off of her full retirement age, even if she turns on her benefit early. But we have a proprietary software that runs the numbers backwards and it looks at all of the different Social Security programs and benefits available to you. And we can tell you exactly month and year when you should turn on your Social Security to get the most you possibly can from the Social Security Department. And this, by following our maximization guidelines, we are able usually to get parents tens of thousands of dollars more than if they just did age 67 or age 70 or whatever they thought was best. So call our office, call us and schedule. I would love to talk about that with you. Okay, so a diagnosis of low IQ 67 is accepted for SSI. Yes, that would give your child the diagnosis of intellectual disability if the IQ is below 70. Now, if the IQ is about 75 or below and they have something else, like an ADHD or autism or another diagnosis, those build on each other, right? There's something called the Social Security Blue Book. And you can look in the Social Security Blue Book at each diagnosis that your child has and see what Social Security wants to hear. Okay, I'm going to write that in the chat box. I'm not good at writing and typing and talking at the same time, so I apologize for that. Okay, I'll do one more question here from Blanca, and then we'll get back to the slides. Can special needs individuals receive both Medicaid and Medicare at the same time? Yes. Or SSI and SSDI at the same time? Sometimes. So you can be dual eligible for Medicaid and Medicare if you're on Medicaid first. Okay, that's an important caveat. That's why I was saying, hopefully your child will be on SSI and Medicaid for a while before they switch over to SSDI and Medicare. Now, generally, they would switch from SSI to SSDI and lose the SSI. However, if your total benefit is less, so let's say your benefit is $1,200 a month and your child gets $600, but the full SSI benefit that they could get is $967. They would give you the SSDI, the child would get about their $600, but then they would also get enough SSI to bring you up to that level. Okay, I hope that's cure. That's good. And SSI is based on the child's income and assets after age 18. They do not look at the parents' income and assets after age 18. Okay, so make sure you've got your money in the right places or your child's money in the right places to where it will not affect those benefits. We don't want to lose those. We don't want grandma and grandpa to leave money directly to the child. We don't want you to leave money directly to the child. It has to go to a third party special needs trust. And you want to, first of all, you're going to need an attorney to set that up for you. And then once it's set up, you want to go look at your life insurance and see exactly how it has the beneficiaries listed out. Look at your bank accounts, look at your investments, any place where you have money squirreled away. You need to make sure that your child's name is not listed as a beneficiary. You would have instead of Jacob Morris, I would have the special needs trust for the benefit of Jacob Morris. Okay. Cool. Okay, so transition planning. There's so much to start thinking about. And you want that special needs trust in place because you never know when your time is going to come. Tragic things happen way too often, and you just don't know what tomorrow holds. So get that special needs trust in place as soon as you can. Guardianship. Now, if you think that your family needs guardianship, you can start that when you are within a year, within 6 months of your loved one's 18th birthday. It does take some time to get the ball rolling, to go through the court case. You do definitely want to make sure you're working with a qualified attorney and that, if you need guardianship, get it. If a lesser restrictive alternative is better for your family, then get that. But we definitely have a lot of presentations where we have attorneys on here describing what you need to do for guardianship and that sort of thing. So I mentioned that your child can have an ABLE account. This is one place where you can have money for them and it does not count against any of their benefits. Even though the beneficiary is the account owner, this is specifically made for people with disabilities. The account, basically what happens is you put money in. It's the one that we use for our clients is a $250 minimum to open. And then that $250, they do take a fee off the front end. It's a front end charge. And then you don't have to pay any more fees on that chunk of money. It goes to purchase mutual funds. And as those mutual funds grow and produce income, the income is not taxed. Their contributions are not tax deductible on your federal taxes. Now, some states might offer a tax deduction on your state income taxes. And I don't know if I made this clear, but even though we're based in Texas, we're just outside of Houston. We do work all across the United States. So even though some states do allow an income tax deduction, Texas doesn't have state income taxes, so they can't give us a deduction on that. But again, this would not count against your child's Medicaid. And there are certain rules and restrictions. So with the ABLE account, there are very, very few restrictions on what you can pay for with this account. You can pay for housing, financial services, a car, a computer, a vacation, clothes, food, really anything, and it will not affect your SSI payments or anything else. Now, I kind of think of it this way. There's an asset limit of $2,000. $2,000 is the amount of money that your loved one is allowed to have in a bank or in any other asset except the ABLE or the special needs trust. So if your loved one is getting $967 a month in benefits, how do you keep it below $2,000? Well, first of all, you want them to pay you rent. That's one way they're going to get that full $967 is if they're paying you rent. It also gives you an opportunity to take out maybe $500, $600 a month and put that into either their ABLE account or maybe save it for them and invest it for their future and leave that money to their special needs trust. Or you can just use it as you need it. Once it's transferred from their account to your account to show the paper trail, then it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay, but you can use the ABLE account to pay for almost anything that you need. I think of this as a short-term savings account. When you need to get money out of their checking account, you just transfer it over to the ABLE. And we set it up so that your ABLE account and your bank account are linked electronically so that when you need to transfer something over, we can easily take care of that for you. Now, on the other hand, if you need more money in the checking account, maybe your child wants to buy something bigger, you can transfer that money in, spend it within the same month, and get that amount below the $2,000 again, all within the same month. It won't count against you. Okay. So anyone can have an ABLE account as long as they have a disability that started before age 26. You do not have to have as much proof for this. You really just sign up, you check a box. It says that by signing this, I swear it's my solemn oath that my child has a disability before age 26. If your child is 27 already or 28 and you're just hearing about this, don't worry because they're changing that age to 46 starting in January. Now you can put $19,000 into the ABLE account this year. Unfortunately, because of the tax-free income, of course, the government doesn't want you to pay millions of dollars in there and get millions of dollars worth of tax-free income, but you can put in 19,000 this year. You do not want the ABLE account to go above $100,000 total. That's the amount where Medicaid or Social Security will cut you off. So you put in $19,000 a year for several years, let it ride, let it grow. You don't want this to be like a long-term retirement account. That's what the special needs trust is for. Like I said, this is going to be for more day-to-day living things. Okay. Now, at the end of your child's life, if there is money left in the ABLE account, Medicaid can come back and claim reimbursement for that. Whatever money is left in there, if they've paid $100,000 to your child over the course of your child's life in Medicaid benefits, Medicaid can come back, and if there's $100,000 in that account, they can take it. If there's $5,000 in the account, they can take that. They're not going to come back and ask you to pay more. Now, let me make it very clear one more time. SSI has a limit on how much money you can put in. There are no restrictions on what you can spend it on. For your special needs trust, it's kind of a flip-flop situation. There is no limit on how much you can put in there, but you should not use your special needs trust to pay for these items while your child is still receiving SSI. It will cause a 1/3 reduction in the amount of SSI that they get. If you use the special needs trust for like rent, housing, utilities, homeowners insurance, cash, I think they took out food. We're going to take that one off of the list. But please think in your head, ABLE account, small amount of money, everyday expenses, use it right now as your child's savings account. The special needs trust for large amount of monies for the future, for retirement. And use that, put that aside for when you're gone. That's going to be your life insurance, your investment accounts, any large amounts of money you want to leave for your loved one will go to the trust. Okay, I see a question. Is the ABLE account only for children 18 plus? Or can we start it earlier? You can open the ABLE account at any time. Now, it's most useful when your child is starting to get those SSI payments because there is a fee involved. And even though the money is invested and it grows more than the fee they charge, you can probably make money by investing that money elsewhere if it's yours. But when your child turns 18 and it's their money, you have to be careful about what you do with it. So definitely when your child turns 18 and SSI and Medicaid is looking at their bank account, that's when you should consider getting that ABLE account opened. But if you want to fund it prior to that, that's fine. Now, there are also waiver programs here in the state of Texas. There are Medicaid waivers that can help pay for things like therapy, transportation, housing. Um, you can use it for dental work, home modifications, nursing, nursing hours, all kinds of great services. All states have waiver programs. Now, Texas is a little bit behind in funding, and the waiting time for these waiver programs right now, we're supposed to be saying 17 to 20 years. So if your child is not on the waiting list yet for these waiver programs, I encourage you to do this as soon as possible. And if you know anybody who has a young child with a disability, tell them, or any child with a disability, tell them to get on the waiting list as soon as possible. Now, other states have much shorter waiting lists, maybe 3 to 5 years. Some states, all you have to do is get there and prove residency, and the services will start immediately. I don't really have a list of what states are quicker and what states are not, but what I do know is that, and I'm not making any judgment on this, I'm not saying anything either way. What I'm saying is a lot of the states that have legalized marijuana are using the sales taxes from the sales of marijuana to pay for these Medicaid waiver programs. So if you're considering what states to move to and you want one with a short waiting list or no waiting list, you might want to consider looking at states where marijuana is legal. Otherwise, Google can be your friend in terms of finding out how long the waiting list is, or you can call, that state's Google, Colorado Special Needs Waiver Program, and make a simple phone call and talk to those people and see how long is the waiting list in your area, and they'll be able to help you out. Now, here in Texas, you can call these phone numbers. You can contact your local disability authority. That would be like Texiana, Bluebonnet, Harris Center, Tri-County, MHMR. If any of those names are ringing a bell, that's your local authority. You can call them. For Star Plus, there's an 877 number, or you can go to yourtexasbenefits.com. Everybody should go to yourtexasbenefits.com, create an account under your child's name and information, and then you can pull up the list and you can see how much longer. It'll tell you, your number 55,000 out of 73,000 or something like that. You can see which lists you're on, and you can put your child on lists on the website. So there's several ways to get in touch with these waiver programs. And you might be looking at this thinking, MDCP, Class D, how do I know which of these things I need? Well, here you go. Here's a little program guide of what is out there and who qualifies for what. So the first one on this list, class. Class is a list that is very, very long because it serves adults and children who have any of the related conditions. And there are over 200 related conditions. They do not have to have an intellectual disability, but it has to have started before age 22. Then you can sign them up for class. Now, the next one on this list, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but the next one is DBMD. That is for someone who is deaf and blind and has another disability. So you can see that this list is not for everybody. It's not going to serve everybody. It has to be deaf, blind, and another disability. So that list is much, much shorter. Okay, MDCP is one for medically dependent children, and they take that seriously. If they don't think your child is fragile enough, you won't qualify for MDCP. Okay, so as you look through this list, think about which ones your child should be on and put them on any list that fits them. As long as they fit the criteria for that program, put them on that list. I want to also point out, yes, the youth empowerment services. This is for children who are under age 19, where their primary diagnosis is something mental, emotional, or behavioral. This is not, my child has autism, and yes, it causes anxiety and depression. This is my child has this mental disorder, and that is what that list is for. Okay, so I'm going to go back one slide just to remind you. You can call, you can contact your LIDA. If you don't know who your LIDA is, you can use this link to look them up. Or you could go to yourtexasbenefits.com, and then you're going to look at this page, pick out which ones your child might qualify for, and get signed up. Okay, I see a question. Yes, okay. Even though I was denied Medicaid using my info and income, my child can possibly approved if I use her info before the age of 18. Okay, no, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that your child will probably not be approved until they turn 18. When she turns 18, or he, whatever, when your child turns 18, then you apply under their name and their own information, their own income, their own assets. And as long as they have less than $2,000 and their income is below $1,620, they should be able to get benefits. Okay. Now, I know it keeps you up. It keeps me up at night. It keeps everybody up at night. Okay, we thought about funding, but who? Who is going to be my person? Who's going to take care of my child when I can't do it anymore? That's a big transition period in your child's life. We want you to plan ahead now to help answer these questions. It doesn't matter how old or young your child is. The sooner you start planning, the better you're going to sleep at night, the more security you're going to have in your future and in your child's future. You're going to have a longer runway to make small adjustments and corrections to your path that will have a much bigger impact. So start planning now. Think about, okay, after high school, because they're going to be going to school, maybe they're going to be in an 18 plus program. But what about after high school? There are great educational programs for our kiddos. There are vocational programs that can serve them and help them find jobs and train to be able to be employed. Transition programs. It can be maybe a day program or partial care. There's also full care residential programs. Whether your child needs a little bit of hand holding and maybe an attendant once in a while, or 24/7 full on care, there are sources and solutions out there for you. But it's very important that you tour them early and get to know those programs and help your child get to know those programs. In an ideal world, I would love for everybody to be able to move their child into, whatever comes next, visit them often, be there for them so that they get used to it long before you pass away. I know that that's not always the case, but that would be great. Plus, some of these communities have waiting lists. So it could be, you know, we're ready right now and we want to move Jacob into Brookwood. And then we tour Brookwood and we love it and we go to sign up and then we find out that there's a 10-year waiting list. I don't know for sure that that's what Brookwood's waiting list is. I'm just using that as an example, right? You don't want to wait and then you find out that you have to wait even more. And also, a lot of people say, oh, Sarah, who is Jacob's sister, she's a little bit older than him and she's got a job and he'll take care of him. It'll be fine. She said she wants to. Well, when did Sarah say that? How old was she? Does she understand what it's like raising a special needs child? Um, it's possible that when the time comes, Sarah's going to have her own family and her own career, her own needs, and Jacob is going to maybe feel like an obligation. And on the other hand, Here Jacob has been raised with his sister Sarah. They've been partners in crime. They've had so much fun together. They're siblings, they're best friends. And now Sarah's going to try to step into the role of caregiver, which might feel a little bit like an authority figure. And Jacob might want to rebel because you're not my mom, you're my sister. So it can go both ways when it comes to tension in that circumstance. So be careful, okay? I saw someone raise their hand, and so I want to go over. I saw um, Amrita raised her hand, and I also see that she asked a question before um, the session started today, and her question was financial planning in general. That's what they want to know about is financial planning in general. So what we do, I'll go through a brief synopsis, a summary of our planning. Um, First, we offer you a completely free initial consultation. We want you to sign up for this consultation. We're going to answer any questions that you have left over from this webinar, or maybe other questions that have come up. Maybe you didn't want to ask your question in public. That's fine. Schedule your free consultation. During this time, it is a virtual on Zoom, just like this meeting. You have the opportunity to ask an expert anything you want to ask. We're going to learn a little bit about you and your family. We even have a questionnaire that you have to fill out before we can meet with you that tells us, kind of what we're walking into in this meeting. And then we're there. We give you some guidance and some help. We'll talk to you about the planning options that we offer and how much those various options cost. We can do things for families for free. We can do things for families in our planning packages that cost money. Um, and it's just very, very customized to your needs. So when it comes to the financial planning, you choose what size package you would like or what services you would like for us to do for you. We gather your documents, we sign a financial planning agreement, and you pay the first half of your fee if there's a fee for what you choose. Once you pay that first half, we get to work. We have several meetings with you. We start working behind the scenes. And when you're ready to pay this, to get us all the information, when we're ready, sorry, um, we'll let you know, hey, we've got your plan together. You need to pay the second half of your invoice. And as soon as you do, we will be able to go through all of the summaries and findings and recommendations that we have for you, lay out your full financial plan, um, give you a roadmap, kind of a to-do list of what you need to do on the special needs side of your house, on your retirement planning, on your life insurance, all of it. And then we load those documents and charts and graphs onto an e-money vault for you to go access later whenever you would like. And we give you our ongoing support as things grow and change for your family. We want to be part of that and be an ongoing support for you. So please sign up for your free initial consultation. You can use the QR code. You can call or email the office, or you can call or email me. And I'm going to put my stuff in the chat box one more time. My phone number, 281-407-4087. My email, mmorris@consolidatedplanninggroup.com. No, mmorris@cpgcares.net. Our website, consolidatedplanninggroup.com. I'm even putting our link to our YouTube channel in there for you. Or you can click this later on, follow us on our social media. We are always here for you, okay? Anybody else have any more questions? We've got 5 minutes to go. This is our entire team at Consolidated Planning Group. As you can see, we are not some giant 3,000 person company. We are a small boutique style firm. 2 sets of husband and wife financial advisors. And what I love about working with Consolidated Planning Group is that when you work with me, let's say you have your initial consultation with me, I am not your financial advisor. Consolidated Planning Group is. We work as a collaborative team for every single client. Every one of our clients gets 4 financial advisors. And that way, when I'm off on vacation or if I'm ill and I can't work that day, Allison or her husband Jeff, or my husband Andy, if he's not on vacation with me, are available to answer your questions. They know who you are because they've already been working on your file. You might have already had a meeting with one of them or spoken to them. So that's how we work at Consolidated Planning Group. You get the entire firm, not just one of us. Again, we're members of the Academy of Special Needs Planners, Chartered Special Needs Consultants, and all of that. So I do have another question here in the questions that came up ahead of time. How do I plan for my son's future now? I would say make sure they're on the waiting lists. Make sure you understand whether or not they should qualify for SSI benefits at this point in their life. Set up your free consultation with us and gather together, what do you have in place? What life insurance do you have? What benefits do you have at work? What is your plan for when you cannot take care of them anymore or when you pass away? What's going to happen? And if you don't know, you definitely should be calling someone like us. How does one go about getting ready for our loved one to leave the home? That was when we were talking about different residential communities and things like that. Tour them early, find out what's available to you and how those things can help you now. Find out about costs and how you're going to be able to afford it. And start giving your child the lessons, the life lessons, the care for themselves lessons, how to advocate for themselves and speak up for themselves lessons as much as possible. Get your child introduced to your support team. Let them know who people in their life are, so that they know in the future when you're not here. And Aunt Allison steps in, and if your child's never met Aunt Allison before, that could be quite jarring. Unfortunately, nobody at Consolidated Planning Group speaks Spanish fluently. So that would make it very difficult for us to do a full financial plan. Now, sometimes if you have questions, you can invite an interpreter with you who does speak Spanish and English. We're happy to do that. But it becomes a little bit more difficult the more help you need. We're willing to do as much as we can to translate for you or anything like that. If we are your clients, do you assist with locating proper attorneys? Absolutely. We could keep a list of special needs focused attorneys all throughout the country who can help you. And we keep track of who the good ones are that get a lot of positive notes from our clients. And the power of attorney process. Somebody asked about power of attorney. It's not very complicated or very expensive to get a simple power of attorney. You would want a healthcare power of attorney and a general power of attorney. Those can be done through a lawyer, or you can just really go print those forms online and have them notarized, and that qualifies as well. Just make sure that you go through those pages carefully and understand what you're signing, and understand if your child has the capacity to understand what they're signing as well. Okay. Okay, well, I've answered the questions we got ahead of time. I've answered all the questions I see here. If you need anything further, please just feel free to reach out to me directly or anyone on our team. We are here to help. You will receive these slides a little bit later on today. And if there's anything else I can help you with, I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Oh, wait, yeah, it's Tuesday. I'm like, oh, it's only Monday. We skipped Monday this week. Enjoy the rest of your week and go be awesome, everybody. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.